on the home stretch of our awesome event, Growing the Future 2018. We have a very, very special guest for you this afternoon. This lady has two intense passions. It's music and agriculture. She grew up at the family farm. She's a Saskatchewan girl. She went to the U of S. She is the co-founder and board chair of Women in Agriculture, an awesome movement that we wholeheartedly support. She is part of an organization dedicated to empower, support, and connect women in agriculture and to strengthen the industry as a whole. She also released 3 songs to Canadian country radio under the name Ginelle James, kind of a secret name, but I suspect everybody's sort of figuring out as we go here. It's just a wild guess. She launched her debut album, Last Call, back in February. She's from Calgary. She's area business manager for ADAMA Canada. Her talk is entitled, The Changing Face of Women in Agriculture. On behalf of Women in Ag, please welcome to the stage, Ginelle Pidwerbesky!
That was great.
I do it all the time. In the mirror.
Hello. Thank you so much, Dan. I love the intro music you guys have playing here. It's not so bad, is it? Thanks for taking a few minutes to hang out with me this afternoon. Get out of the sun. It's probably shade and a cool drink related as well, but that's okay. I don't mind. I'll take it. It's been a pretty fun week, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next few hours, and then we can all get geared up for next year. And as Dan said, I'm going to be talking about something I'm really passionate about. It's called Women in Agriculture. What we do, why we exist, what our goal is, what our passion is, where we're headed, all those kind of fun things. But before I get into that, I do need to take a minute and just thank Aberhart Ag for letting us be a part of this day and this great initiative that he's put together here at the Ag in Motion show this year. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes and really for the betterment of the industry, which is a key factor when we talk about women in agriculture. So we really appreciate it. Thanks to Dan and thanks to the Ag in Motion entire team for seeing women in agriculture as something that's worth talking about at these kind of events. As Dan said, his introduction was pretty good. I don't know if I need to say a whole lot more on that, but as he mentioned, my name is Ginelle Pidwerbesky. I co-found and now board chair the organization called Women in Agriculture. I also work as an area business manager for a company called ADAMA out in Calgary, and have this little side passion of mine under the name of Ginelle James. Pidwerbesky just wasn't flying in the radio announcer world. Right here it was okay, but if you get out of the Ukrainian belt, it was starting to get a little confusing. So Ginelle James, if you haven't heard of Ginelle Pidwerbesky. Yeah, I actually grew up in Prince Albert, but my dad farms at Borden. I went to school in Langham for several years, so this is home for me. I was playing the beer gardens the last couple nights. If you were walking by and heard some live music, that was our group jamming in there, and it's pretty incredible to look out and see all the faces. I'm so passionate about this industry, as I know all of you are as well. So today we're going to talk about women in agriculture, how we came to be, why we exist, all of that fun stuff. To do that, I'm going to reference someone by the name of Simon Sinek, and I just heard that I was practicing this speech for a couple friends, and they said, it's interesting, I just came across it too. So I don't know if it's one of those videos that's just kind of come back and cycling around on Facebook. So some of you may already know the concept behind it. It's a simple concept, which is good for me. I like to keep it easy. Essentially what he says when he talks about, he did a TED Talk on this, and it came across my way a few weeks ago, and he really, he focuses on business and the marketing side of things, but he talks about organizations like Apple and someone like Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, who've been so successful in what it is they do and what sets them apart from the rest of the world when there's other companies and other competition out there with greater resources and better manpower and more money and all that kind of thing, and what sets them apart. And he talks about the golden circle when he references this. And essentially what he says is the people like that, the ones that succeed, they all have something in common. The what, hopefully you can see this screen, those of you in the back. The what is what every company, every person, every innovator, this is what you do. This is the products, services you provide, your end goal, if you want to take flight, like the Wright brothers did, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Everyone in business should know this, should have it down pat. The how, the majority of the world know the how. This is your differentiated product, your differentiated value statement. So what sets you apart from your competition? And a good majority of the businesses know this as well. But the why is something that not a lot of people, organizations know about, or maybe they just don't talk about it. And I'm referencing it in my Women in Ag speech today because I feel our group, we know our what. That's our mission statement. We're empowering, supporting, connecting women in the industry while strengthening the industry as a whole. We know how. We know how we want to do it. We want to host events where people can get together and get to know one another, and network with one another and support one another. We have a mentorship program that people can reach out to, and I'm going to talk about all that, but we rarely talk about the why. I think as an organization, we just assumed that if we talked about the what and did the how, people would just respect what we were doing and know that it was important and get on board. And now that we've been in operation for 6 years almost, we're starting to really own this why statement. And the why is the focus, the belief. It's not in any company. It's not a profit-driven thing. That's a result. This is really why you exist and what you're doing. And when we get to do these talks, we don't really go there. And today I'm going to. We're going to talk more about the why we exist and how the face of women in agriculture has changed over the last few years, over the last several years. So the what. This is just the mumbo jumbo that you don't really need to read, but the what. I want to talk about how we came to be. So as Dan mentioned, and I mentioned, I grew up in Prince Albert in the city, but was involved in the farm after high school. Actually in high school, started running equipment, cheap labor. That's why most farm families have kids, I think, is to run all the equipment and not have to hire a bunch of added help. And finished high school and got into commerce at the University of Saskatchewan because I didn't realize the opportunity that this industry had to offer. To me, being in agriculture meant you were grouchy all the time and covered in dirt, and you never got to go to the lake, and your whole world revolved around the weather network. And I didn't get it, and I was involved in it. So after about halfway through university, I started getting involved more and more with the farm, and following my graduation from the business college at the U of S, started farming full-time with my dad. Did that for several years and started taking on things like the grain marketing and the hiring and firing of employees and all the other stuff that goes along with it, lease agreements and equipment buyouts and all of that, and loved the entrepreneurial spirit that the industry had to offer, again, as I assume many of you do as well. But in addition to the isolation you feel being in these rural centers, I was also starting to feel very isolated as a woman in the industry. Every time I would go to a sprayer clinic with Dad, I'd be the only woman sitting in there. And I'm talking the farmers that were there as well as any of the equipment salesmen and touring around these shows. It's changed quite a bit. There never used to be as many women walking around. So I was feeling very isolated, to say the least, and learning a lot, but feeling like there had to be an easier way to do this. There had to be an easier way to ask the questions that I wanted to ask, and resources out there that I just didn't know how to access. Coming up with labor market opinions to bring foreign workers over to help on the farm. Grain marketing, again, I knew these resources were out there, but I didn't really know how to connect with them. At the same time, I had a friend who grew up on the farm, so similar story, but was on the farm day in and day out. And she took a position outside of the agriculture industry and was living in the city and wanted to go back to the farm and do the same thing as me. But again, that fear of, can I do it? You don't typically think of the farmer image and it being a female there. So she did it, and we were both sitting in a tractor one day and said, we know there are women out there that have paved the way. They're doing incredible things, and they haven't needed a Women in Ag organization. They've just gone ahead and done it, and that's amazing and that's great. But how do we reach out to these people? How do we connect with them? How do we learn from them? And so we got together and took some calendar photos. And essentially the idea behind it was, let's just start to connect with these people that we know are out there. I didn't even know what a seed or chemical rep position entailed. No idea, because at that point Dad was still dealing with the reps, and I was just so unaware of everything that it had to offer. So we started doing that, and then we held our first event. And every time we do something, I connect with somebody else who gives us purpose. Once again, my most favorite story is our first event that we had out at Earl's, and it was right in the middle of the beef disaster, and we were pretty much hung to the wall for doing it at Earl's. But all in all, it turned out to be a great event, and I saw a girl walk in, and she was very timid, and I went up and introduced myself, and she said, I'm a nurse. I'm from the city. I've always lived in the city. My boyfriend bought me this ticket. He farms, small town, I think it was out in Davidson, and he wants me to move out to the farm. And I'm terrified because I don't know anything about agriculture. And I think all of us sitting here, we know the industry inside and out. We're comfortable with it, but it can be a very intimidating industry if you don't know what mustard versus canola is, and oats versus wheat are, and what a crop rotation is, and all of the other things that are involved. And so that opened my horizon into, we're not just around just to help our organization, we're around to help others who need to get involved, and I'm going to talk about that more about too. So we'll talk about the how, and really before I go any further, I have to say this is how. Volunteers, everything we do is volunteer work. We've now grown to a board of 8 members. We have 7 committees with 3 subcommittees, 15 committee leads. We're multi-generational. We have students in university all the way up to the women that have retired from their full-time jobs and just want to get involved and help out, involved in our group. We have 10 mentors that people can reach out to, and we have a membership of just over 80. So we launched memberships January of this year, and our goal was 50, and we're up to 80. So I'm pretty happy about that. Thanks. So how do we do it? How do we connect? How do we empower? How do we support women in agriculture? One thing we focus on is our events. And they're usually focused around farm events like these. We have a crop production show event and a networking night held yesterday down at Winston's. And essentially, it's just to get to know some other women in the industry, because there's a lot of us, and everyone comes from a different experience and a different background, but it's hard to know how to connect with them. So, I mean, there's no real structure around what we do at our events. We don't stand around and bad talk anyone. And we had 3 men at our event yesterday, so it's open to anyone. But again, it's just to be able to connect with one another. We've also taken on this year the Connect conference, which many of you may have heard about. So this takes place beginning of November, and it was initially developed and presented by the Connect Ag Group in conjunction with Emerge Ag Solutions out in Eston. And they've had some incredible speakers in the past, some incredible entertainment as well. This year at our event, we have Jolene Brown, who's talking about farm business management. We have Candace Carnahan, who her speech is titled Half Price Pedicures. She lost a leg in a workplace accident, and she talks about safety and just overcoming struggles. We have the Hunter brothers playing for us one night. essentially, it's a celebration of farm women. So there are a lot of conferences and a lot that goes on in this industry and a lot of places to learn and feel empowered. But this one is really focused on all those women around the province who keep everyone fed on the farm, sometimes after working their full-time job all day, run parts, run equipment, keep the kids going, all of the train employees, do payroll, accounting. I mean, the list is endless. And that's a tough job. I'll say it over and over again. When I was farming full-time with my dad and my sister was farming with me, I was out in the field. I was working with the employees and running all the equipment. My sister was the one running parts and trying to keep 10 guys fed and staying up till midnight to clean dishes just to get up and get a roast in at 4 or 5 o'clock the next morning. It's a tough job. It's a tough job. And anyone who has the opportunity to have something like that in their farm operation, I think that you value how important that is. So that's what that is. That's a celebration for that group of people. You're not going to be able to read this now that I have it up there, but that's okay. I will ad-lib. As I mentioned, we now have members. So we launched an annual membership, and what that gets you is discounts off of merchandise and discounts off event tickets. But again, going back to this connect factor, we have a closed Facebook group where women can just connect with others. Again, from all over. We are a Saskatchewan-based company, but we have members from Alberta, we have members from Manitoba, we have men in the group. So this is, again, you can't read it, but Bertha armorworms are showing up in various spots around Alberta. Are you guys seeing anything out there in Saskatchewan yet? The next one's about rainfall over the year, but I can't read it. So essentially, it's just, again, a way to access more knowledge and connect with others. And we'll get somebody comment on there and say, what's a Bertha armyworm and how do you get rid of it and what crop is it in and why is my husband going spraying right now? I have a wedding that I want to go to and it's whatever long weekend in summer. And so again, just providing that tool. Here's our list of 10 mentors, and this is a slide I'm really proud of. Our core values are up at the top there, and again it says, to respect those who have paved the way. Karen Dow, Janice Tramberg, Shelley Jones, Trish Myers, many names that you know, many maybe sitting out there. This is a group that is just sitting there saying, we have endless amounts of knowledge on how to on this industry and how to grow in this industry, both personally and professionally, and we're willing to help the younger generation to figure it out. I have a cousin who grew up in Saskatoon, and both parents work out of the industry. The only experience she had with agriculture was riding around in a combine with me a couple weekends in harvest. How does someone like that access someone like Penny McCall or Jean Harrington and say, what jobs are available? I don't know anything about the school system, but I will say that we don't do a good job of outlining and explaining the opportunity that is involved in this industry and available in this industry. We need to get better at that if we want to continue to be sustainable. One of these women up here I have a bit of a story that's near and dear to my heart, and I get that there's a lot of stories here, but she came up to me at one of our events, and she was quite emotional. She said, this isn't something new, this group that you've developed. This isn't a new thing. We did this back in the 80s. It was called Saskatchewan Women's Agriculture Network. Their mission statement, to address a need for rural women to connect and provide a forum for discussion on some of the industry issues that women in the industry face. She came up to me emotional because she said, I feel like we failed you. I feel like we should have done more. They dissolved, politics got involved, and that's kind of all she had said about it, but this isn't something new. It is a reality that there aren't a lot of women. There are more men in the industry than there are women, and it's not just our industry. It spans across a ton of different industries. So I just like sharing that story because from time to time we get some backlash on what it is we're doing, and I welcome any of you to give me feedback and questions on what it is we're doing, and if you have ideas for how we can be better or what it is we need to do to make sure that we're providing value, please always reach out to me and let me know, because that's the whole purpose of this. Going back to this circle, the why we do what we do. We all talk about, I don't know, I feel like there's a million different stats out there, but by 2015, we're going to have 9.6 billion people in the world to feed, or whatever it is, and that's on us to keep that going. But I don't think we talk enough about the decline in people living in rural centers and how so many more people and kids are growing up in urban centers. And we have agriculture in the classroom that's doing amazing things with the younger students to teach them where your food comes from and what growing a plant looks like. But there's still quite a big gap there when it gets to high school, talking about college, all of that kind of thing. And again, going back to our strength in the industry as a whole, we want men, women, young adults to look at our industry and see it as a viable career option. And this is one way of doing that. Going back to our events, we offer a lot of sometimes we just have networking nights. Let's just get together and connect and hang out and blow off some steam. But a lot of times when we have conferences and things like that, we offer some of the skills that you can't get at a regular farm show or farm conference. We talk about things like leadership, mental health, safety, grain marketing, how to properly hire employees, how to retain employees, sexual harassment, all those kind of things. And as I mentioned, we're starting to get men that are interested and involved in what we're doing because they can benefit from developing these skills as well. And I think we're starting to bridge the gap on this soft skill and gender divide that we've had in the past. So there is purpose there for the industry as a whole. Why we do it? We do it because there's so much knowledge and experience in the people that we get to connect with, a lot of which are up on this screen. And also for the younger group, we just want them to be confident enough to take on whatever role it is. We're not standing here saying that we want 50-50 women versus men in every board and every organization across the world. That's not what we're saying. We're saying we want the right person in the right position. We want everyone to be confident and knowledgeable when they step up and take on these positions. So that's the why. What we do, in addition to all of this, is we sponsor agriculture in the classroom. We have for several years. Many of our members get involved and go out and talk in classrooms and teach students about the importance of the industry. We also have a $2,500 scholarship that we supply to the university. There we go. Over the last 3 years, we only have 1 and 2 up there because we haven't got information for the third yet, but it's open to men and women, but we've had 2 women who have been recipients, so we just give the money to the university and they come up with their program on how to apply and how they choose the winners. But again, just providing that opportunity for the younger generation to view this industry as a viable one. Again, I was talking about other industries, so this music thing, that's kind of near and dear to my heart, it's no different. I mean, listen to the radio, maybe, 1 in 10 songs is a woman. This is Bobby Bones, and he's a radio broadcaster for iHeartRadio, and he launched a female-only program. And essentially his quote on it was, I've been saying I was going to do this if the environment didn't change. Well, it didn't. I will be launching this show across 100 plus iHeartRadio stations and outer outlets soon. So my point in this is, when you're walking around the show, take a look around. Like, not just at the shiny equipment and the pretty yellow crops, but at the faces that are passing you by. The demographics changing. There's a lot more younger people getting involved at a younger age. They're not going to do the chem rep thing for a while and then coming back to the farm. They're going, getting their university degree and going straight into the farm and putting their resources there because they see it as a good opportunity. There's more women walking around. There's more minority groups walking around. Just because Bobby Bones isn't a woman in music, just because you might not be a woman in agriculture and haven't experienced some of the things that maybe some others have, that doesn't mean you can't support those people and as a whole do more within the industry to just continue to close these gaps. I think our industry prides itself on being at the head of the technology, and we all have the newest, latest, greatest things, and why not in this industry? Why not with this? Kind of take it and lead the way and not wait for other industries to make the change, but let's take it on as our own in agriculture and show the world kind of a good path for them to follow. So that's all I really have to tell you. I think even seeing the people here, the ones that maybe just aren't here for the drinks, I appreciate you coming out and listening to what I have to say, and we're always open to feedback and ideas on how we can do more, be better. It's a volunteer-run organization, so we do the best we can. Sometimes we don't dot every I and cross every T, but do check us out on our website or our social media. We share all the information that you need to know there, and encourage, I don't know, the lady, oh hi, the lady sitting beside you or the man sitting beside you to get involved. So thank you.
Give it up for Ginelle James from Women in Ag. Who here has heard her at the beer gardens? Anyone? Yeah, we got some hands there. Sounds pretty good, eh? Maybe we get Ginelle to sing a song, but I don't know. We don't have any band here. What?
I don't know.
How
do
we?
Anyone?
Is it anybody play the guitar? Maybe you don't. Anybody that
I
could?
don't know. They don't have to be good. Just fill the gap.
Maybe I could learn the song and play the song if you got it. What do you guys think? You guys want to hear a little bit of Ginelle James today? Hey?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's check this out.
I'll give that to you.
Okay, here we go.
Well, we'll see how you do. He said maybe I can come on tour, but I say we'll see how he does, and let's not put the cart before the horse. Sitting here trying to write a song, and all I can think about is my hair's too long, and I gotta break up with what's his name. After last night, there's not a thing to say, so I pour myself out into the sunshine and fill up a big glass of wine. Call up Kay, wanna hear about a date. She says, another fail, I'll be over at 8. There's no need to stop for gas. We got the whole damn night going nowhere fast, so let's run this town. Well, on the night, don't need a sweet southern man to stand beside me, hold my hand, buying drinks all night to make me feel alright. I just need a little girl time. Dan Aberhart, everybody, winging it. So well done. Okay, you can come.
All right, I'm on.
Thank
tour,
you.
I'm on